Hi, I'm Sylvia Gordon.
And I'm Rebecca Gordon. A new study published in March by the University of Southern California shows that Part D plans are increasing their barriers to access.
So what are barriers to access?
I'm going to assume obstacles.
Obstacles such as step therapy, formulary exclusions, quantity limits, and prior authorization. Ba-bum-bum.
Plans can exclude drugs from formulary entirely. And I think a lot of people think that just because you have a plan, it's going to cover all the drugs.
Right.
And so they did a study from 2011, I think, to 2020. When they started in 2011, only 20% of the drugs were excluded.
No, not excluded, had barriers to entry.
Barriers to entry.
So it used to be, if we cover your drug, if it's on the formulary, go get it.
You're good.
Started in 2011, only 20% of drugs had any barrier. So like prior authorization, step therapy, quantity limits is another barrier. But by the end of the study in 2020, especially brand name drugs, almost 50% of brand name drugs have some type of barrier to entry.
That's
and your clients
scary.
do not understand them. So if they go to the pharmacy and they say, my doctor gave me this prescription, I want to get this drug.
Right.
What happens if the pharmacy said, oh, we don't cover it?
Well, you have two options. You can appeal, which is going to be a pain in the butt and probably, I believe, isn't that successful. Or you pay it out of pocket, which a lot of people don't have those funds. I mean, a lot of these drugs can be pretty expensive.
Right. They're not putting these barriers on the cheap drugs.
Yeah. So this is a bad hole for people.
One of the other things is if your insurance company says, we don't give you authorization for this drug, there's no prior authorization, which if you look in the formulary, it says PA. If they don't give you the authorization, they don't have to give you a reason. So if they gave you a reason, you could formulate the basis for your appeal intelligently. But when they just say no, most people are not going to appeal. They're just going to go back to their doctor and say, give me something else. I can't take Eliquis. Give me something cheaper.
Why don't we describe what step therapy is?
So step therapy means my doctor, I just get an initial diagnosis of, let's say, high blood pressure.
Okay.
High blood pressure. And so my doctor wants to put me on the most expensive high blood pressure medicine on the market, a brand name drug that's very expensive. And so you're like, okay, you don't question your doctor. You take your prescription to the pharmacy and the pharmacist says, oh, this one I can't fill today. And you're like, why not? I don't even know if the pharmacy tells you why not. They just say, we can't fill it today. Go back to your insurance company.
Let's go to insurance, yeah.
Then you go to your insurance agent and you're like, let me look up in the formulary. Oh, it does require prior authorization or step therapy. So it says ST, step therapy. That means you have to try a cheaper drug. I mean, they will say generic, but it's cheap. You have to try a cheaper drug and prove that it did not perform, which means at least 30 days.
You waste all that time.
Before they will give you access to the more expensive drug. And, that might be good. But if my blood pressure is not being controlled by this cheaper drug for 30 days, I could have a stroke or a heart attack. So that step therapy can be dangerous. Mm-hmm. But once you've done step therapy with one drug company, you're not supposed to have to do it again when you change your drug plan.
For that particular drug.
For that drug. If you've already gone through it and you've already proved that one did not perform, you're not supposed to have to do it again when you do change.
So that's excellent.
So we talked in a prior video a couple of weeks ago about the new rules requiring prior authorization times for Medicare Advantage plans to be shortened. 72 hours if it's an expedited request, 1 week, which right now to get prior authorization for a procedure, it can be several weeks.
Right.
So, and that they have to make it public, which will also put some pressure on the carriers to give prior authorization quicker or deny it quicker.
And they have to give a reason.
Bum, bum.
Why they're going to deny it, which is something we're hoping that they're going to have to give a reason for the Part D drugs as well.
Right. So if you go to the pharmacy and they say, well, you can't fill this.
Why?
Give me the reason so I can formulate the basis of my appeal. So CMS regulators, if you're listening, please put that on your agenda. Thanks for tuning in.
Good selling, folks. See you soon.